you?
Good.
Trying to make the most of the quarantine, but
Yeah, dude. Totally. I feel you on that.
Where are you in the world?
We're in San Diego, just
where?
south of LA.
Oh, so I'm in LA, so we're good.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. We're close.
Yeah, totally. Were you born in LA?
No, I'm from New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Originally, but I moved here like 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
To tell
me about New Jersey.
It's super chill. It's like a polar opposite from LA or like California as a whole, honestly.
Really?
Because I feel like California is like very like go-getter-ish. At least in LA, in my experience, like
sure.
The vibe is like it's chill, but it's like productive. And like I feel like over there, like no hate towards it, like not in a negative way, but everyone's very like comfortable and like complacent, and they just do normal stuff, which
do their jobs, come home.
Yeah, do their job, come home, like go to the beach, which is chill, like if you want that. But if you're trying to like be, I guess, in the entertainment business or like really like do anything creatively, I don't think it's like a very inspiring place to live. But you know, totally. That's just part of my story, but it's all good.
Yeah. So in Jersey, were there like venues and stuff? Because were you singing at all out when you lived there, or that all started when you moved to LA?
I was just singing like to myself and on the internet, but there's no real like music scene. That's also another big part of it. Like the closest music scene would be like New York, but but you kind of have to live there and like really be around to like network. You know what I mean? And I lived like 2 hours away from New York, and like it just wasn't like realistic to be there that much, and I didn't really like know anyone. Whereas like I came to LA when I was 16, but I did know some people out here. I was very lucky to like have the chance to come out and be introduced to a lot of people like right off the bat, which is cool.
Yeah. How did you get into music originally? Your family into
it kind of happened like none of my family does music. It happened super like, I guess you could say naturally. I always was just drawn to singing, even from like when I like the earliest time I remember singing is like 5.
And wow.
I have a funny story actually. I always tell this story because it kind of like demonstrates the kind of unawareness that I had about like my love for music at a young age. So like I was in an airport with my family, and I had my mom had this brick MP3 player, like
like the old like iPod,
yeah, the
or
old
something.
School one. It wasn't even an iPod; it was like the knockoff iPod. And so I was listening to it. I think it was like "Hey There, Delilah" by the Plain White T's.
Oh,
was playing.
Wow!
And I was singing along with it, in like I guess maybe humming like da, 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 da. And this old couple came up to my mom, and she was like, "Oh, that's so cute, like he's so good, like whatever." And I didn't even realize that I was singing. Like it just kind of happened naturally. And I was so embarrassed that I started crying because I didn't think that was like the right thing to do at the time. But over time so then I started taking piano lessons when I was 8 because I like in music class, I always like wanted to know how to play the piano. That like they had a bunch of keyboards in there, and I always would like pretend to play, like whenever they were playing music, I would like pretend to play chords like I was playing it, but really I was just playing nothing. So then I really wanted to learn that, and kind of very quickly like fell in love with it. And I attribute that to a big part of like my my musicality, because I basically was like, they were trying to teach, because when you learn classical piano, they teach you to learn to read music.
Sure, yeah.
And I was not down with that. So
really?
I was so like opposed to that I would convince my mom to let me buy the pieces on iTunes.
Okay.
And I would literally pick them apart by ear and learn them that way. Wow. Which is, looking back, it like probably took way more time than just learning how to read the music. But I think
at
that
least
was
you're like, I feel like you're digesting it more and understanding it more by like actually hearing it and being able to figure out, okay, that's this note or that's this chord or whatever.
Yeah, just trying to figure out. But I didn't really like know any music theory at the time. It was kind of just all by ear. And I think that it was like more effort at the time, but overall it ended up like really training my my musical ear in a good way. And then as a result of piano playing, I was singing same theme. I was singing without knowing it. When I was playing the piano in my lesson.
Okay.
And the piano teacher was like, "Oh, you should get voice lessons. Like, you have a good sense of pitch, and like your tone is cool. It's like nice." So I got voice lessons. My family's always been super supportive, by the way, which
Oh, I
is
was gonna
a
ask about
blessing.
that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a real blessing, because if they had never like encouraged me to do what I love, then I don't know where I'd be. You know, I'd probably be in college or like doing some normal shit. But am I allowed to like cuss on here? I
Yeah, of
don't want
course.
to.
Yeah,
Okay, you can
you can
censor it.
say
All right.
whatever you want. I'm not
All
gonna
right, cool.
censor it.
Okay, word. But yeah, so I kind of, what is that? Oh, they were always super supportive of me doing what I love, and like anything that I had interest in, they would always push me to do that. And obviously some things like you have interest in and then it fades, and that's just a part of figuring out who you are as a person.
Sure.
But yeah, so then I started taking voice lessons, and I probably took voice lessons for like 3 years about. And then
Oh wow.
And also during this time I had met one of my mentors. His name is Elijah Blake.
Okay.
And it was just like by random chance that we met, but he sent me like a bunch of music, like R&B and like gospel music and like all this old school music that I had never like really been exposed to, because at the time it was just like pop music that I really listened to. And like so I'd never been exposed to that kind of stuff, and it really helped me grow and like kind of find my voice in, because I don't know if you got a chance to check out my music, but it definitely has like
yeah.
But it definitely has like an R&B like root to it.
Sure,
so I think
does.
that's super responsible for that. And so that was like while I was developing. And
how did you meet Elijah? You said he was just like a random. Like,
no, it wasn't like random, but basically my dad was friends with this artist, and my dad's not in the music industry or anything, but he was friends with this artist, and he like dragged me because my mom was doing something, or I don't really remember like what the events leading up to it were, but he like took me to the studio. I guess he invited my dad, and I was singing in the corner of, like, I was just singing, like, not even knowing it. Again, like, that's a common theme with me. It's just like I'm always singing regardless of like if I know I am or not. Like I constantly, like, in public, people will be like, "Oh my God, you're such a good singer." I'm like, "How do you know?" Because I was like singing and not realizing it.
Something without
But so he just noticed, and he was like, "Wow, your son like really has something special." But he's like, obviously he's not ready to like really be an artist yet. So he just kept in touch with my dad. I kept in touch with Elijah, and he sent us a bunch of music. And my dad was super cool not to push it on me, because like I think when you meet someone that like believes in you, it kind of puts like unnecessary pressure on it. So it was cool that there was no like real pressure on it, because I did love it. And like when you love something, it just doesn't feel like work. So it was kind of just like, and it was a really good thing for me and my dad to bond over, because we were both discovering this music together and like picking it apart, and it was dope. So basically over time I just developed like a musicality about me, or like I guess a musical identity, you could say.
Sure, yeah.
And then when I was 16, I got the opportunity to move out here, and I was staying with Elijah at the time. I still live with him because we write music like every day. But so I got the opportunity to come out here, and at first it was very like pre-planned almost. And I was with this management company. I'm not gonna name them, but basically it was like trying to be the next like teen pop star, which I didn't know that I didn't want to be, but I definitely didn't want to be that. You know what I mean? And like,
sure,
I'm like a true musician, and I want to be able to show that and like really make that a part of who I am. And I didn't just want to be a pretty face and like a pretty voice, you know? So
because they were just gonna probably write songs for you, and
that's what happened.
Tell you how to sing them and be like, "Here you go, go be the face of this." Yeah,
so I released some music, and I'm not like mad at that music or anything. It's a great learning experience, but
and
it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like
you probably
really,
got a lot of experience like recording and
totally
like being a part of something.
Yeah, being around other people who are making music, because I learned a ton from just like watching like producers and all that, So basically that was a great learning experience. But over time I really had the desire to, and I think I was 15 And I started making beats on Machine, which is like
Okay.
this little beat pad. It's like an MPC type thing. But I started making beats on there, and it was just strictly for fun. Like I didn't really do it with the intention of singing over the beats. It was
Oh,
just
okay.
like it was just like a fun musical like thing. It was like because I'm kind of like a tech nerd too. Like
Oh,
I've always
okay.
been like super interested in that. So it was kind of
Yeah.
like a merge of those worlds.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
like learning about the plugins and all that was super
Mhm.
interesting. And then you combine that with music, and it can become this beautiful thing. Um, so that was like something that I just was doing constantly. And I remember the summer of 2015, I made a beat every day, and
Wow.
I like I made a promise to myself that I was going to do one every day. And like sometimes they were just like a loop; they weren't like full tracks, but I just made sure to create something every day. And it took about like 8 months, um, 8 months into 2015. I literally started like January 1st, 2015.
Wow.
Started making beats because I had got a laptop for Christmas,
Mhm.
and that allowed me
It
to
just opened the
start
doors for
really.
you.
Yeah, it opened the doors. So I and thank God that my parents got me that for Christmas. Thank
Mhm.
them. And but yeah, so I literally started the first day of 2015, and I think it took about like 8 months where I made the first thing that I was like, okay, this is like I'm kind of proud of this, even though it was like looking back, it was so bad, but like at the time, I like was actually proud of how far I'd come, and
Yeah.
that kind of that kind of got me that kind of sparked like almost an addiction where I just wanted to progress and make things that I was proud of because that's a great
Mhm.
feeling. Like um I'm not sure what you do, like obviously you do these creatively, but like if you do anything else, like do you know when you make something that you're super proud of, just that warm feeling that you get, and it's
Yes.
like glory like within
Totally.
yourself, and like
Yeah.
no one else can like put you down. Like I used to play these beats for people, and they would be like, yeah, it's cool, because like they weren't that good, but I was so proud of them that it just didn't
Yeah.
matter.
You put
um
the blood, sweat, and tears into it and made
yeah,
something that you loved, and yeah, that's great.
yeah, so that was kind of how I got into production, and that just progressed to a point where I was able to make full songs on my own, and I started writing. And um that was like post releasing kind of some music that wasn't necessarily me, but it wasn't not me because I wasn't really like sure of who I was as an artist. So that's just a part of
Sure.
my development at the time.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
But yeah, so then I basically all of 2018 and 2019 I was just making music, and um started producing for some other artists, which is great experience,
Mhm.
to try to like step into other boxes and explore other genres and stuff.
Yeah.
So and yeah, so basically 2019, I didn't really know it at the time, but I kind of started making my album,
Wow.
and then like by the end I was like, okay, yeah, this is turning into an album. So so now I'm putting the finishing touches on it, and I'm planning on releasing it sometime this year.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really
but I'm super excited about that.
yeah, yeah. I wanna, go back a little bit to, um, so you met Elijah, and
Yeah.
were you in the studio, like, when your dad took you and stuff, was that in New Jersey?
It
Were you still living on the East
was
Coast?
yeah, it was in New Jersey.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then
it
how
was
did
like
you decide to move to LA? Like, what was the
it
moment
kind of
that
just it kind of just felt right, and it felt like in order for me to like explore who I was as a person, that I had to like kind of be away from my family, and I missed them so much at first. Like I was really homesick.
Oh, so
Um,
you moved out here by yourself? You didn't
yeah,
your
by
whole family
myself.
didn't get
My family
okay.
didn't. Yeah, so that was like kind of like obviously I didn't like say that to them that I didn't want to be around them, because I did want to be around them. But
Sure.
I looking back, I think it was really necessary for like me becoming who I am to be able to experience things and like grow and learn on my own and not be like so sheltered, because the part of Jersey that I'm from is like kind of a bubble. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Uh-huh.
it's a nice area, and like it's just isn't anything like the wild west, you know?
Right, right, right.
Like I just grew up in a nice town, like school, everyone was nice. Like obviously there's school drama, but like for the most part, everyone was nice and sweet, and like there wasn't any real problems.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
when I came out to LA, like you see the world for what it is, and you kind of get disappointed, and then you move past that, and it's just a
Yeah.
cycle. I think it's a constant cycle in life of like having faith in something, and then you can either be you can live up to it, or you can be disappointed in it, and then you just figure out how to go from there.
Mhm.
But
No, absolutely.
yeah.
So when you
So
got out to LA, you're immediately working with Elijah right away when you moved out here? Was that kind of the
yeah, so we
plan?
immediately started making music. He was writing songs for me. Um, and I was trying to like co-write with him. Like I was trying to like really put my experiences in it, but I didn't really have that much life experience at the time.
Mhm.
So the writing thing was just something that came with with me gaining more experiences, and like I
Sure.
made friends out here eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I made friends and had those kinds of things, and like yeah, that's just what life's about, is like
Mhm.
figuring out or growing up, I guess, is like meeting people and figuring out who you like, who you don't like, who you think you are, and just how you can assimilate into everything.
Mhm. So, what was the first like performance you ever did in front of people? Was that like a
Um,
recital? Was it a
I did
talent show?
a piano recital I did in fourth grade, but I wasn't singing. The first singing performance I had was it was I think I might be wrong, but I think it was at this fundraiser in New Jersey. It's at this school. It's called Dave's Day. It's a really cool event where they just raise money for a good cause. They have a bunch of people perform and donate, and there's like basketball games. It's a
Oh, cool.
super chill thing. But I did a few songs there, and I was super scared and nervous, and I like
Yeah.
very awkward. But the performing thing was like it definitely like happens really fast where you get comfortable on stage, and like like it's just like public speaking. You just have to do it, and you'll get
Mhm.
comfortable with it. But like it's not a natural feeling when you first step on stage.
Do you feel like you enjoy performing live in front of people, or the process of like songwriting and producing a track?
Um, I think at first it was more the songwriting producing, because once I started writing, and that's had a shift recently, because I've
Okay.
been writing about such personal stuff that I really have like I feel a responsibility almost to share it with everyone.
Yeah. No,
So
that makes sense.
the live
Yeah.
shows are like, that's exactly what they are, is me sharing the way I feel and my views on the world, and like
Mhm.
I like my songwriting has gotten deeper, and like obviously as I'm getting older, I'm getting more in touch with myself and more aware of what's going on in the world.
Mhm.
So um now I think that it's kind of neck and neck as far as like creating and I guess showcasing.
Sure. Yeah.
But they're both totally different things, because I'm a very like independent creator. Like most of the time I'm writing by myself, producing by myself. I'm not like I mean, obviously, since the quarantine, I haven't worked with anyone, but
Right, right, right.
yeah, most of the time it's totally independent, and that's cool. But performing is the opposite of that. So I think they're
Yeah.
just really nice things to balance.
Mhm. No, yeah, I completely agree with you. When you moved to LA, and you started working with Elijah, did like was that how you kind of got involved in the like pop thing that you weren't really loving? I mean, I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but like what was the
Um,
process between like what they're, them trying to push you as a pop artist to transitioning into like doing your solo stuff as just Finn Matthews?
I wasn't really. I wouldn't say I was pressured into doing it at the time. I just feel like it was the expectation, like the default thing that I was gonna do,
So did you
because
just meet people that were like, yeah, we
yeah, I
should
just
do that?
yeah, and it was all supernatural. Like I met my management at the time through Elijah, and that was a totally amazing learning experience. But that's just like me finding out who I am as an artist. But like it
Mhm.
definitely was like it felt like the right thing to do because of just past artists, I guess, and like what has
Yeah,
worked. And since then, I've kind of less started like, I don't really aim for like what's gonna be successful commercially. It's more so just like what I love, which is what it should be about.
sure.
But
And it's obviously working for you. You're doing,
I
you
mean, yeah,
know,
I'm getting there. I have a lot of stuff I still need to do and want to do, but I'm just trying to do as much as I can, you know?
yeah. Well, tell me about going and putting your first like stuff out as Finn Matthews. Like, was that
Well,
like
it
what
was
was?
always as Finn Matthews. It wasn't like
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you're
yeah,
part of something different, and then
no, no.
okay,
It was oh, I guess I didn't like yeah, but it was always Finn Matthews, but I just didn't really know who Finn Matthews was, I guess.
sure. Oh,
Um
okay.
yeah, so
So
the
what
first
was the
experience
first?
of
Yeah, what was the first song you wrote, and you felt like, okay, this is it. This is Finn Matthews. This is gonna be me.
um my song A Million and One, which
Okay.
I put out in mid 2018. That song was I wrote it with Elijah and I produced it on my own. And it was like the first song that I was heavily involved in creating. So I think
Okay.
that's kind of why it has a special place in my heart, but also
Mhm.
just the lyrics were super relatable. And I felt like that was something that I really felt like was needed
Mhm.
within the musical escape. It's like an acoustic kind of vibe, which
Yeah.
I've evolved from since then. I still have acoustic vibes, but I've explored other genres since then. But that was the first thing that I put out that
Was
really felt like
you?
home for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you remember performing in LA for the first time? Like under like as Finn Matthews? Like what
Yeah.
was your first show?
Um, it was actually a Live Nation Wants to Watch show.
Wow. How'd
Uh,
you get
yeah,
that one?
just through my management.
Yeah.
They just hooked it up, and I was like this developing artist, so it was like super cool, and they were super down with it, and it was dope. I learned a ton from that, like rehearsing for that and like preparing for it. Yeah, it was
Where was
great.
that show at?
It was in Beverly Hills at their office. Like
Oh,
they have like almost a venue kind of ish space, and they like convert it for shows. It's super dope. I want to
rad.
go back there actually. Just
That's a
walk in and be like, "What's up?"
yeah, say, "Hey, I'm gonna do some songs for you guys right now."
Yeah,
Deal with it. That's awesome. Well, how'd you meet up? You're signed to Warner Records?
I'm not signed now.
Oh, you're not signed. Okay.
No, I don't. Yeah,
This is
no.
all independent?
Yeah, independent right now.
Wow. Do you have any aspiration to go to a record label, or you love what you're doing
Um,
so independently?
I love the control that I have right now. And I think at a certain point, this is like kind of going away slowly, but the platform that you can reach is a little bit wider from a label unless you get really lucky and just happen to have a huge following,
Mhm.
because that happens. But
Sure. Well, you
I
have a huge following
definitely
for not being on a record label.
not huge, man. Like it's getting
You're
there,
almost at
but
100K on Instagram and stuff, and I mean, I'm looking
yeah,
at your song plays, like over 100,000 on certain songs on your
yeah.
Spotify. I
Um,
mean,
it's
doing
getting there,
something
but
right.
I'm on the way, man. That's all. It's all the journey, man. It's not about the destination, you know.
Sure.
But I think that like the control that I have, the creative control over my music, is really important to me right now. And just as I'm growing as an artist, I think it's really good for me to not have someone over my shoulder telling me that you need to make something like this. And I think a lot of artists get blinded by that, and they think that what their label is telling them to do becomes who they are. And
Mhm.
then after they either like get dropped from a label or they end up like being responsible for creating the music, um, they're kind of lost and they don't know who they are because they don't have someone telling them what to do. So
Mhm.
I'm not totally like opposed to labels, but I do love the control and the freedom that I have right now, and like the I guess lack of pressure, because I put a lot of pressure on myself, like I tend to,
Mhm.
and I found that when I put less pressure on myself to create music, I make better music, which kind of makes sense, just
Yeah.
like able to like tap in better when I'm not
Like
thinking about
stressing out.
making.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Like trying to write the biggest song ever. You could
yeah,
just
that's been super important for me to just have it be a chill thing that I do because I love it and not because I have to or because I feel like I have to.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people can let it get to a point, and if your career grows to a point where it's like overwhelming and you can't stop it, like it becomes like a snowball effect. And like I think there can be a huge deal of like pressure and responsibility that is felt. So I want to, like, as I grow as an artist, I want to like make sure that I stay grounded and don't try to think about it too much or too hard, and just go with what I feel, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Have you done any touring or just
No, I have
play like
not. Just
local
random
shows?
shows here and there.
Do you have any aspiration to tour? Like, is that something you are
Of
interested in
course.
doing?
Yeah, I it's one of my main goals because I feel like that's you can just show your music to so many people in person and connect with them. Because it's cool
Hmm.
to like promote it on the internet and people find your music, it's great. But like I feel like in person is just a whole different energy. They can see who you are. I can
Yeah.
kind of feel their energy and perform and sing. And it's just super fun, like doing shows. I can't wait to do that, like every
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's going to be something you're going to do with the new record once you put that out? I mean, obviously, if the quarantine is
Yeah,
lifted by
quarantine's
then.
like I'm not really sure where I'm gonna go because I have tons of music beyond that record. So I I'm not really sure. I'm kind of playing it by ear, especially with the quarantine. It's kind of like I
Mm,
already had some plans that had to get moved and altered. So um, I'm just gonna play it by ear. Uh, yeah,
that's cool. So tell me about the new record. You said it's coming out around the summertime. Is that
yeah.
what
I'm
you
hoping
said?
I'm hoping for it
Yeah.
to come out around summer. The name of the album is Sunny Days because it's kind of about my experience coming to LA and thinking it was going to be only sunny days, and then having to figure out how to cope with the realities of it. So that's kind of the album, like in a whole. I mean, you can't really describe
Wow.
it in like one sentence, but
Sure.
that's kind of the theme, or like the setting in which I created it is just figuring myself out in a new place. And I think a lot of people go through that growing up, whether it's in college or if they move to a new state. So I think it's going to be super important for people to hear these kinds of things and be able to connect with them and relate to them and put themselves in the song, I guess. I like when I listen to a song and I'm able to like think of myself as the artist.
Yeah.
And I might do
No,
that because
totally.
I'm an artist myself, but I think even before I was like strongly identifying as who I am as an artist, I think that is like a beautiful thing when you can just connect with a song.
Hmm.
So I want to be able to provide those experiences for people and give them some kind of closure or happiness or whatever. Just make them feel good or feel something at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Why'd you decide on Into the Open, the next single? Do you have because you
Um,
said you have all the songs done, right?
yeah, they're all created, but they're not all finalized.
Gotcha.
I'm in the final steps of like tweaking everything,
Hmm.
which has been kind of overwhelming because I'm doing all the production myself.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's uh it's been kind of like challenging to keep an objective view of the whole thing and not like overdo it or over tweak it, because
Uh-huh.
I've done that with songs where it had like a really nice feeling and then I just overwork on it, I guess, because I
Like,
want it to be perfect in my mind. But sometimes imperfection is what makes you feel things, you know?
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
trying to really like take advantage of those moments and not ruin them.
Is it hard being like, are you the only one working
Oh,
on it
I didn't
right
answer
now?
your question, by the way. But
Oh, sorry. It's
uh
okay.
Into the Open, I just felt like that was a really, really important song. And that's has such a strong message. And I think the world really needs to hear that kind of thing. Um and I don't know if you got a chance to watch the music video, but it it
I
highlights
did.
experiences that everyone goes through and hardships that everyone goes through. And I just
Yeah.
want to inspire everyone to be the best person they can be. And you can always improve your outlook on things or just your attitude towards the world. And
Yeah. It's a
I
video where
think
they're shooting baskets and stuff. The guys
yeah,
shooting hoops. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So the basketball player gets into a car accident and he obviously his dream is to be a basketball player,
Football
and
player.
that
Yeah.
he gets injured. And the whole video he's working through that to just at the end he gets to just be able to walk, and he appreciates even being able like being alive. That's what
Uh
I
huh.
really want to, because it's not really about the tangible things in life. It's really about your outlook and your, you know, what you see things as, you know.
Yeah, that's a
So
beautiful
and then the
message.
the other story is these two dancers who they're both females. They like each other, and they're clearly like a little bit on the fence about it because they don't know what everyone's going to think. They don't know what each other are going to think.
Sure.
And at the end, they kiss, and kind of they're teleported into this field, which is like expansive. And that's like kind of the metaphor for the open, which is like a place where
Oh,
a place that is free from judgment, free from fear. And it's just like a beautiful, peaceful place that you can really experience things for what they are without having like a layer of judgment, you know?
yeah. I love that. That's a beautiful message. Yeah, we did. My
So
wife and
that's
I did check the video out last night, and
cool.
yeah, we thought it was really rad. Like I said, you have a great voice, and the
Thank
song
you, man.
is killer. We
I
really like
appreciate
it.
it.
Yeah. You're talking a little bit about over overproducing, or like, thinking too hard about certain songs, and you said sometimes you got to just dial it back and accept some of the imperfections. Like, is that hard? Like, are you the only one currently working on the production on your stuff?
Yeah, currently I'm the only one.
So is it
It's
hard
not
to, like, I've talked to other artists and musicians that say, like, sometimes they get in this space where they're almost overproducing the song or over adding
yeah,
too many
it definitely
effects. Like, is it
can
hard to
happen.
kind of reel that in without somebody saying, "Hey, maybe you should do this or this or this"?
I don't really have anyone telling me what to really make at this time.
Yeah,
So it's kind of on my shoulders to be honest with myself. And the as far as overproducing goes, I think just always like the less you can put that still gets the message across, the better, because it's going to
mhm,
be much more digestible for people.
sure.
So that's kind of a motto I like to follow, is just simplicity.
I like that.
Um, but
What's the
it's really
next?
hard because as a producer and as like a music nerd, I love like all the, the extra stuff that you
The
can do to it, and
plugins,
like,
yeah,
yeah, the
like all the
plugins and like
the
the
spice.
effects and
Yeah,
yeah, putting all the effects and like little musicalities in it. Sometimes it can just get a little distracting from the vocal.
sure.
So I like to think or try to remember that people aren't listening for all those things. But I like to put little things in that you can notice if you're listening for it, but it will still give you a feeling if you're not. That's what I
Sure.
like to do, but not something that overwhelms and distracts you.
There's like a fine line there. You kind of have
Yeah, there's
to
a really fine line because
ride on, huh?
yeah, definitely.
Well, Finn, thank you so much for chatting with me. I really appreciate it. You have such a rad story.
Thank you, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for having me. I appreciate you doing a video call, by the way. I really don't like phone interviews because I like can't see the person, and I feel like I'm not really having a conversation with them,
I prefer.
especially if I've never met them. So I appreciate you being open to doing a
Of
video.
course, yeah, I dig the
Uh,
video too, because then you're and I'm like, and you're inviting me into your home. I see some like soundproofing on your
yeah,
walls. Like, it's pretty cool to be able to
little
check out where you're
little
hanging
mic,
out too. Oh wow, yeah.
That's just my demo mic. I have like a real recording setup in my upstairs, but
So you just demo down there where you're at
yeah, if
currently.
I'm just right, like I sometimes will write upstairs, but sometimes I'll just grab a guitar and start writing and just want to record it, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah.
But eventually, like I had this dream, and it was like that I had a house, um, and every room had some capacity to record music in, so that whatever room I wanted to be in, I could just do it, and it would still come out really nice, and I wouldn't have to like redo anything or
Takes and
like
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't have to like record it and be like, oh, this doesn't sound good because this was on my phone. Like I could
Yeah.
actually just have it be like ready to go, like all wired up. But that's a crazy pipe dream of mine.
You can do it, man. I mean,
Yeah,
just
I'm
keep
gonna
doing
do
what you're
it.
doing, and yeah, one day, sooner than later, you'll have a house with a recording thing in every room. I can see
Yeah,
that for sure for you.
yeah, man.
Well, I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists, people trying to do what you do, take that leap, and
I would say beyond putting your life experiences first and not putting pressure on the music, I would say just practice your craft as much as possible, because when you have the skills to convey what you're trying to say, it really makes it much more easy to get what you're thinking or feeling on paper.
Mhm.
Like with guitar, for example, since I've gotten better at guitar, I don't have to think about what I'm playing or how to play it as much as I think about feeling the music. So that goes with anything, singing, like drawing, any art thing. It just, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And then you're going to have to think about the logistical part of it less. And you can think about the creative side more.